Good evening, everyone. And I don't think we need the slides. Manoj insisted that we should have some slides. So I prepared something. Fasil prepared something for me. There is, when I came in first, I thought I'll directly go and have food. So I went upstairs. I thought I'll keep it light, but the food was very good. So I had a second serving of curd rice. And then I came into this room and I could not stop but thinking, why are conferences room always like this? You have light on the speakers, this thing, and then you have darkness all around the place. Make it a very ambient space for taking a nap. So it's a very interesting thing speaking in the afternoon. And every single conference room is like this across the world. It is something that has struck me. But let me tell you, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me here today. And I think it's a great opportunity to explain what happened in Kerala and why was Seafund very important for us. By hook or by crook, there was no capital available in Kerala for a very long time. People did not think that Kerala is a place where you could do business. You think about Kerala, there are a bunch of IAS officers who come from Missouri as part of their state visits, and then I go and do training, and then I ask them, when you think about Kerala, what comes to mind? So they say all the nice things, God's own country, nature, beautiful and all that. I said, you don't have to be nice. Tell me what you think about business. And then they start talking about militant labor militancy and communism and unions and all that stuff. So there was a general perception that Kerala is not good for doing business. It's not a state that is good for doing business. But in 2016, and I have to say we were pretty much number one in everything. I was listening to Rajamanikam sir. Samsung Electronics and Keltron pretty much started at the same time. They both completed 50 years of operations. Keltron was, I'm sure some of you must remember the TVs that Keltron produced and the traffic signals that is still at use in many places that is developed by Keltron. We were not able to move forward. We had the first Technopark, we had the first startup mission. A bunch of kids actually created what is called Startup Village in around 2011 timeframes. Some of you must have heard about Sanjay Vijaykumar, who went ahead and talked to the valley. Basically, they went to the Vinod Khoslas and the Parikhs, and people started taking notice at that time. But we were not able to move forward. And in 2016, government actually started thinking about why don't we create a startup mission. And I think Startup India was just getting formed and startup policies were just taking shape. And one of the major problems that came out in a program called Seeding Kerala was that there is not enough venture capital that is coming to Kerala. Frankly speaking, yesterday I was reading a book, I forgot the name of the author, but it was called Adventure Capital, it looks like, which then turned into venture capital by Kleiner Perkins. And so venture capital was not a term that was very familiar. In 2004, when I came back from US, I went to one of the most leading venture management firms in Kerala. I said that I would like to get some venture capital. And he asked me, what does that mean? Does that mean I give you money for free? In 2004, okay? I said, it's not for free, it's against equity. Oh, well, same, right? That was the answer. Okay, from then, you had to actually move into a space where people will acknowledge the term venture capital. And Kerala, it was very difficult, very difficult. It's not like Bangalore or I don't think there's any other place like Gurgaon or the NCR region or Bangalore. Other than that, no other places understood venture capital at that time. So Seeding Kerala happened, and some of the people who were aware of the venture capital came and said that we need some VCs here who can write a check. There was an attempt by the government called Kerala Venture Capital Fund, which miserably failed, because I still believe that government has no role in running venture capital funds. So then a very smart IAS officer at that time said that we will create what is called fund of funds. And there was no fund of funds concept in India at that time. We were first in that. I can proudly say that. There was no fund of funds concept. Now we have SIDBI running fund of funds for the country. We now have ANRF that is coming up with a 1 lakh crore fund for VCs as well as the deep tech companies. But at that time, there was no concept called fund of funds. So we said that we will put in 1 crore, the fund needs to put in 1 crore, and the only mandate that you will have is you will invest into Kerala companies. Well, not 1 crore, but I think how much, what was the check that we wrote for you the first time in Fund 1? What of the total fund, to a maximum of 10 crores, if I believe right. And then there were, and then we need takers, right? You have the money, you want to have fund of funds, you want to have a fund of fund partner. So we went ahead and searched for a fund of fund partner, and there were only 2 people who came and helped us with creating that fund of fund, and one of them was Manoj Joshi from Seafund, which is why I call it a partnership that is a decade long. We have since then invested around 150 crores into the fund of funds program, and the fund of funds is probably one of the most biggest return on investment that Kerala government has seen in any project, because we have seen 3.5x in valuations against that 150 crores. And Manoj, along with Anil Joshi from Unicorn India Seed Fund, actually helped us. And then came the magic, right? And I don't think I need the, yeah, it's fine. Then came the magic. So there was, and you can tell me when to stop. I think there is a time, Ale. Yeah, so then. There was a boy who did a exoskeleton at that time. This happened in, I think, 2016, 15, 16 time frame, right? He did a exoskeleton as part of the college project. And as part of a presentation, we somehow took that picture of the boy wearing that exoskeleton and a bunch of boys, you know, clapping and having a good time in the college. That picture was shown in a meeting. And again, the same smart IAS officer went ahead and asked, you know, there was a person who went into the manhole and died while cleaning the manhole. And there was a complaint that was given to the CM's office asking whether you will be able to automate. Why are you letting people into the manholes in this world of technology or the era of technology? Why are you putting people into manholes, right? And this IAS officer went ahead and asked this boy, can you go ahead and build a robot which will solve this problem? Gave 2 lakhs from Kerala Water Authority as an innovation fund. And this boy since then went ahead and created what is called Gen Robotics, which is now making, I think, around 70 crores in revenue, right now. And very soon they are going to hit the 100 crores. Did you invest into Gen Robotics? You did. So both Anil and Manoj were kind enough. At that time, it was not, you know, many of the institutional investors, Malayalis, wealthy Malayalis, which we went to and said that, why don't you fund this because it's a robotics project, did not see what is the potential of robotics at that time, right? Since then, they have gone ahead and created a gator which will help rehabilitate paraplegic patients. And that G-gator is also doing extremely well. They're now working with smaller robotics companies in creating robots for very specific use cases, like cleaning the tankers, the oil tankers, or confined spaces which are very dangerous to get in, right? So there are several such use cases that has emerged out of that, and you know, all this would not have happened without the help of you. And today, when I look around the stalls, I'm glad to see that there are around 8 companies that are part of your portfolio, yeah. And we have Gen Robotics, we have ClueTrack, we have C Electric, we have Finsol. Tim is here somewhere. Or hi. Okay, so they're all, you know, doing extremely well, and I'm waiting for the good news, Tim, to close the round and you know, see that happening. But our objective is to work very closely with Seed Fund. And again, one of the things that I really wanted to tell you guys is that we created one of the first hardware accelerators of the country called Make a Village. And a lot of companies, I'll give you a few examples. There is a company called iRove, which recently closed a contract of around 40 crores with Indian Navy. You know how difficult it is to get a defense contract. So it started with IDEX. They went through the multiple rounds of validations that the Navy would do, and finally they were able to close 40 crores. There is another company called Fuselage, which is building industrial drones for agriculture. And they were one of the first DCGI approved drones for the usage of administering pesticides for the large farms. Run by Devan and Devika, they were able to actually, I was very proud to hear Devika narrate that story in front of the Prime Minister during the National Startup Day. Similarly, we have Sea Electric that has come out of Maker Village. There are at least 50 to 100 companies that we are trying to curate, which has got a potential of crossing 100 crore in revenue. Not about unicorns, right? We don't have a unicorn yet, which is one of our, people say that, why don't you have a unicorn? And I keep telling people back that it's not about the valuation, it is about the value that we create. And we are working towards creating that value. And that is why, we need help from people like Manoj. And one of the things that I also want to, I know Dilip is sitting here somewhere. Dilip is a classmate of mine and also a limited partner in the fund. But I want you to spread the word that we have a lot of wealthy people in Kerala, starting from Yusuf Ali to Ravi Pillai to, a lot of people. A large number of PE firms are coming and investing into Kerala, but only in the healthcare sector, if you look at it. You see a lot of investment that is coming into the infrastructure. But seeing startups as an asset class is one of the biggest challenges that we are facing as part of the working with the Malu diaspora, right? I went to the home of a person named Rajiv Madhavan. He actually sold 2 companies, and the latest unicorn that he has built is called Frore Systems, which is into the cooling technology for data centers, based out of San Francisco, based out of a city called Arthurton, which is one of the largest or probably the wealthiest pin codes in the United States. I went to his home. I could see large statues of Shiva and Lakshmi and all like 15 feet tall statues, all transferred from Mattancheri, Fort Kochi to California, right? He has not put in a single penny into the Kerala ecosystem. We need to change that. I think if we can actually consolidate the amount of money that is out there in the world, not only with Malayalis, but with the rest of the Indians, and have the right checks for the growth of the ecosystem, I think that is going to be a great step forward. And people like you, Manoj, has shown us the path. And I think we will try and help you by bringing in more capital and also try to nurture more companies. And being in IASC, I was talking to Fasil today, and somebody rightly made that point that industry is not visiting the research in the right fashion, right? There is a lot of research happening. I can tell you because the term translational research came to fruition some 30 years back in Kerala. There is an institute called Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute of Medical Sciences and Technology, which actually created heart valves for, I think, less than 1,000 rupees, which costed 1 lakh. There is a company called Peninsula Polymers, which actually acquired material science technology from that institute and converted that into blood bags. And Terumo since then came and acquired Peninsula Polymers and became Terumo Penpol, which is the largest blood bank manufacturing facility in the entire world for Terumo. So these kind of translational researches has happened. It is out there. But we are not visiting it enough. We are not pumping capital into it. Industry is not contributing enough capital into the R&D, I would say. Industry is not even visiting and understanding what is happening. And for me, IASC even was a black hole. I was actually today sitting with somebody who's working with a professor here and amazed to hear the kind of technology. I just heard about the CFD technology that you talked about. And it's like amazing scientific discoveries that are happening here which can be translated into multiple use cases. And I hope that this deep tech focus that you guys are having in the days to come and the new fund that is coming from the central government of India is going to be a great step forward. And I'm sure we will see more and more portfolios that, portfolio companies that will come into Seafund, and we will also make a lot of money in that process. Thank you so much, and thanks for having me here.